The phrase from the quote from Joseph Goebbels. I'm sure everyone's heard. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it.
Right.
So, one more thing. It's been defined. Who is this next to me? Let's define it. There's a lot of fucking quotes here. But alright. But in general, you know what I'm saying? This guy has been the whole purpose has been this to misinform people and misguide the whole thinking of this. I don't know how you feel about
it's working.
Concept.
It is working because when they interview people who be at all these different school board meetings, first of all, I don't know about nobody else, but when I was coming up, school board meetings were not the thing. They did not make the news every other day. Parents didn't just show up like they didn't have jobs. Like, literally, they get it popping now at these school board meetings with people who are like, I don't want my kid to be taught to be ashamed of themselves. And then when you ask them what's critical race theory, like, I kid you not, I saw this interview where the guy was like, I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
See, that's the thing. The thing that's interesting with this, right? This is right here. This is not being like one side misinforming the other side.
Right.
This is one side misinforming their side.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're pretty much just fucking misguiding and their people in order to think to have people confused and to fucking send it up, to put it, I don't know.
Like, for our listeners, if they are not getting where that's going, like, all you gotta do is look at Texas. Texas literally put in a law where you can't only tell one side of the story. So basically, if you say, like, the Ku Klux Klan was not a good thing, you also have to say what was good about them, as if there's a good side to them. If you talk about slavery, you can't just say, like, slavery was a negative. You gotta give a positive to it. Yes. Then they took out, like, the Martin Luther King speeches. You can't have those books in the library no more. Like, they took out Susan B. And, like, they literally have taken out, like, shit that you're just like, what the fuck does that, like he said, they putting everything under this umbrella so that you can whitewash the history more than what it already was.
Everybody know you changed the history. That's powerful, and no offense to people down there, but Texas is weird and fuck Texas.
Texas is weird.
But now you guys remember though, with it being one of the biggest states, and especially they run shit in the South. If them or Florida make a move, it makes it so much easier for all them other states that don't nobody give a damn about to make that same move. And that's crazy.
I know Texas is a big fish. It's weird, and I would never consider living there, let alone visiting.
It's crazy.
Every visit has been different. Yeah, for me too. Yeah, not in a good way.
I'm good.
But for teaching, it makes it bad because now you have teachers that are scared to teach because they're like literally saying, if you teach CRT, you don't have a job no more. And then the shit they be teaching be stuff like Rosa Parks didn't give up her seat, and they're like, oh, that's CRT. Nope.
Right. Just know, man. You've been led astray.
Very. And they don't care to know, though. They'd rather just get upset. And like I said, when you ask them, well, what is it that you're mad about? Because you're making my child be ashamed. And it's like, of what? We're talking about history.
And all he's doing is using psychology against you people.
Exactly.
And it's working. It's working.
And it's working in other states because I kind of looked it up earlier. Indiana teacher who exposed CRT teaching put on leave, has email log banned from schools. Let's see.
A principal lost his job.
Email and Google Drive accounts and been told to work from home because he is causing other staff members anxiety.
Because they're trying to teach the truth.
Yes, this is Indianapolis Public Schools.
This is, man, I'm telling you, that movie that was from that book. What was that book?
Which one? Get Out?
Fahrenheit. The Fahrenheit.
Oh. 51 or 41 or something like that.
I never seen that.
It was.
I read the book.
Huh?
Fahrenheit 9/11?
No. It was a movie they did on HBO. Michael B. Jordan played in, but it was based on a book. And it was the way people, it just got to a point where people were so misinformed, and then they were prevented to read, to get real information. And the way that they're just taking information away.
That's crazy. But those are the times
like they're literally taking people's jobs for teaching.
Yep.
When they're,
And then because of all the threats and stuff, for getting back to them school boards, you have people who were on them school boards who actually know about education, who are like this one lady, I cannot lie. It was funny, even though it's not funny. She's an old retired educator in Florida that sat on the school board. She was basically like, I ain't got time for this shit. Y'all calling my house. Y'all threatening my husband. Hell no, I ain't running again. Like, y'all can have the seat. But that's the fear, is that all those people start going, they don't have time for this. They'll leave so then they can put those misinformed people on the boards to be making those decisions even easier.
You can teach these things without making the people that are learning it feel like they're the ones that did it.
Right.
Ain't that how it's been?
But only so much. Look, even then, only so much has been presented. It's right. We know now how much has not been shown. But it's ways to do that, because all the philosophy is you're gonna make them feel a certain way. Why they gotta feel a certain way?
But here's the thing: CRT is only taught on the graduate level. It's not even taught on the little one. So these people are going through these. So
these people should be critically thinking already.
Right? Like, what the hell?
Right.
And then, if we take it on the education side, my issue was listening to some of these parents. Is so you don't want your kids to critically think. Right. So what are we teaching them to do in school if you don't want them, like, they literally don't want you to go, this is what happened in history. What do you think about that? Like, that's all critical thinking is. And, like, you literally don't want your kids to think. You just want them to believe that, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, came over with the pilgrims and the Indians got together, and we lived happily ever after.
I think it's deeper and more sinister. If you can't fucking tell the story, there's nowhere for these kids to ever empathize for what happened to other people, so they never have empathy and everything that is wrong. It's deeper than fucking the truth. I don't want you to feel. That way you can never be an ally, because you don't know what happened and don't give a fuck because you was taught not to.
That creates a lack of empathy.
A lack of empathy. That's the plot. And that's what I think it is. That's the
look, I see right now, you see ideas being introduced right now, just in general, that have been introduced over history and throughout, all this communism, socialism, all these different things, that people are revisiting these things because they aren't even educated in what happened last time these things were entertained, right? And so they think, it's like some of these lessons have been learned already, but if you shut them out from learning those lessons, then they're bound to repeat
1,000%
those mistakes.
Which feels like
we see a lot of that. We see a lot of that happening right now. It's just in the turning of the thinking, because they're not being educated on all these things that happen, and so.
And then a lot of it, I think, has to do with the backwards thinkers and the more progressive thinkers, as far as like righting the wrongs, per se. Like, the family, the Bruce's beat. Okay, we did you wrong. Let's give you back your property. And then even like with Columbus Day, they've changed that to Indigenous Peoples Day and no longer recognize, well, I guess Columbus really didn't discover America. There are some other people who actually did. So they're taking away, what the known history is.
See, that's the trick, and not to get too heavy off of that. I don't think, like we spoke before, a lot of people don't have an issue with equality as long as they don't have to lose none of their shit.
Right, I agree.
The trick that the politicians play on these people is making them feel like they're going to lose some shit in order for us to be all even Steven. That's the game. They don't give a fuck about these fucking Middle Americans or these people you would call rednecks, or they don't give a fuck about them. They're just weaponizing them.
Yep,
that's all it is.
Yep.
No, you're absolutely right. They're making them think that they're losing their position in this whatever, right? It's that at least you're still white thing.
It's still divide and conquer.
Yep.
And at least you're white. If you don't got nothing else going for you, and that means something, which it always will.
I'm saying, man, that Chris Rock joke, man, that shit still ring true, bro. Yeah. That shit still ring true. You heard that Chris Rock when he sat in the room, he said it was I think Bigger and Blacker. And what he said, not one of you white people in here would change places with me.
I'm rich.
He said, and I'm rich.
Yep.
Right.
He said, they said, I'm going to just ride this white thing out. Right? Saying something to work out.
And you know, for some of them, they live that. Because that one of that dumb chicks that stormed the Capitol, she was like, dude, I'm not going to jail. I'm white and I'm blind. Like, the fuck?
She got about 3.5 too.
She now she watching YouTube videos trying to figure out what it's like.
But she's still only doing some days, so in a way, she was right. Like, if we really look at it, if anybody else would have did that shit, we would not be sitting here watching them go, oh, you got community service.
I hate that point because everybody knows that.
Right, but I'm saying it's just the truth.
It's like when you got siblings and you got caught. Oh, he did it. Like, we know this shit. Like, we refugees.
But that's part of the thing with the critical race thing is showing that, and that's why honestly, even though I know it's on the graduate level, I think that's some shit that needs to be talked about a little bit earlier. That a lot of these systems are the way that they are. And that's why things are turning out that way. So maybe then people will want to make those changes.
I don't think they ever want to make them. Power don't give them power.
I don't think that's ever.
But we're talking about a whole younger generation who is starting to look at things a lot
different. They are starting, and
if we go backwards in teaching, then we're going to have basically people's great-grandmamas all over again at the age of 5.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Because then you do have a different generation of kids. I will give them that. I don't understand them all the time, but for some of them, they are sitting there going, okay, make this make sense to me.
Yeah, but then you still got the sound on the flip side, not to be Debbie or Darnell Downer, you got the motherfuckers running across states with assault weapons to a young generation.
You do.
That are just as passionate about the shit they think they own as the other progressive kids that we were rooting for. It's I hate to say it, but I just think it's a power dynamic that is unbreakable in the whole grand scheme of things. I just believe it's perfect in its design and how it works. That's just me. I don't believe it'd be hopeless over it, but it just seems to be a fucking perfect system. It always fucking repairs itself and comes back stronger. You know what I mean? So that's just me. But live your life and be fruitful and multiply and shit.
Some people don't need to be fruitful and multiply.
Take that shit.
Right.
Pull out.
Right.
Be really skillful at pulling out.
Pull out game.
Man, be really skillful.
Or practice abstinence. They don't need
to. Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
Send over. I'm sure you hooked us up on that.
Exactly.
But
it was an interesting movie too. If anybody hasn't seen that.
I haven't seen the movie, but I read the book, and I think it was an older version of that movie that came out when I was taking the class where we had to read the book and watch the movie. So it was like,
it's high teched out now. Yes.
I bet. But that was a pretty interesting one, though, to me.
Yes, I mean, in the view of how Cash, I know Cash like dystopian. Like,
I have to tell you, that's my shit.
Where it's going type movies.
We're headed there.
It's one of those. And it's like it could be the near future. It could be the near future, man. It's some of this stuff is scary.
I love those movies because it's the truth, bro.
Yeah, it's like a preview.
At the end of the day, if the motherfucker say get down and lay down, nigga, and put the screw to everybody the right way, you have a few ambitious people that's gonna die for it. Right. Then you have the rest of these motherfuckers that's gonna go there and get down and do what they gotta do. That's just that's power. Mm-hmm. That's it. Everything can be turned against you. Your love for your dog, your kids. Oh, you ain't gonna do it. I bet you gonna do it. You know what I mean? And that's why those movies are so fucking good, because they always cover the bases. Like, oh, you ain't? Okay. Katniss, you better volunteer for your little ass sister, because you know she a punk. She ain't gonna make it. You got a couple of skills. You might be alright. You better step in the line, because we gotta take her. Little Rue, how old was Rue? 12?
Very small.
I cry like a motherfucker. Don't laugh at me.
Yeah, man, that was heartbreaking.
Cannon went off in her little hair, like, oh shit.
Had her on with the flowers.
Oh man, shit. That's the 13 represent.
That was Hunger Games, right?
Yeah, that's the 13 rule, nigga.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like I don't have a clue what the fuck y'all talking about.
Wasn't enough black people in Hunger Games for you. Lenny Kravitz was in that
shit. I never wanted to. First of all, let me tell you something.
Stylist.
That just was not the movie I wanted. This show I wanted to see.
That shit's fire.
It was very good.
Movie, show, whatever.
I watch them all. Maze Runner, you want to talk about? I'll tell you all of them. I watch them all.
Yeah, you be on that.
Love them.
You good.
You be on that.
I just want to see what my fucking future gonna look like. See what kind of job I can get. See what side I want to be on.
That's what, I have to.
Yeah, for real.
Huh? I want to be a stormtrooper or a person. Like, I'm trying to figure out my options in this shit.
I haven't watched any, but just from like talk from among people when they're talking about it, and, you know, all of this, The Walking Dead. Like, how am I gonna survive this and that? I feel the same way. Like, I don't know what my future looks like. What position am I gonna take? It just puts you in the mind. Like, I'm waiting for our real day purge. Like, you know, 2 years ago, or
cool.
3 years ago.
Right.
No, I'm cool too. But 3 years ago, you could have told me, listen, you want to bet $1 million if there's gonna be a pandemic and like everything gonna shut down. I would have never made that bet.
Right.
But now, like, after seeing the purge and living my life and seeing the transition from where we were, like in the 80s to now, like, I can see the purge like really coming with the right like circle going on, you know, right storm. So I need to know how to get out of this. So I watch all the purge. It's like, okay.
We talk.
Show you how to get out of it.
Me and Jay talk, and we always talk about how people be jumping out the window, and a lot of this shit is just history, you know, doing what it do. But I fucking will admit that this too, the Trump pandemic, storm of the Capitol shit, that little stretch, that was a run.
It was a little crazy.
That was a fucking run. That was like a 3-piece, some crazy ass shit. Right. And I don't know if any history had that kind of.
Right.
Well, the pandemic was a special twist, but I mean,
it was the cherry on top.
Now you know we talk all the time. I say, what I say about it, like a lot of this stuff, even with the politically, because the pandemic is its own thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's its own thing. But a lot of this stuff politically, man, I just feel like this is in general a gun country, and a lot of this turmoil that you see in other countries, we have never had here.
It's just about time. Yeah.
We've never had that here. You know, you see other countries, they go through things. You go through uprising, they go through different fucking regimes as far as even how, you know, between authoritarian regimes and all these different type of things in other countries. We've never had that here. And I just think it might be our time to endure some of it. Huh?
It's not like they've never warred with each other.
That was early. That was still very early on. And that was how this
I
country was built. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just, I think we're just becoming more a part of the world.
Right.
I'm just saying what I think is going on.
Why am I saying you wrong? I have this fear that's probably, you know, it's just me. It's just like how we talk about history repeating itself. When I sit and I really think of what that was like then, you know, just reading and seeing stuff, I'm like, that's not some shit I want to live through again. So when I hear people talk about
stuff that's going on, that's stuff that's going on now.
Right, and some people are wanting this. Like, they're wanting all this conflict so that we can have another one of those. I'm like, why would y'all want to live through that shit?
No, it's not necessarily even a civil war. But people aren't satisfied with what the government are doing, and they're speaking out about it. You know what I'm saying?
And they should.
A lot of people romanticize these ideas.
We've had the levels that we had. We had civil rights movements and stuff. But it's never been where people were just this up in arms about what the government were doing for whatever reason. For whatever reason.
Like the government
this shit happens all over the world.
It does.
All over the world. Look at Australia right now. Australia is fucking marching and shit. They having vaccine mandate fucking marches every fucking day. It's cracking in Australia right now.
And I see what you're saying, like, you know, on the bigger picture, like when the European dollar busted and these countries wanted to break away from the Union and certain things.
We as the U.S. only look at the U.S.
Right, exactly. We don't have those problems, like where our dollar we woke up one morning and our money don't work. Like, we haven't experienced those type of things. We don't go outside, walk into school. No, but he's saying, like, the rest of the world is
real life.
And for me, I'm saying that scares me. When we talk about the fact we haven't gone through what other countries are going through, and we could be on the brink of that shit, it don't excite me. I mean, Jordan, not saying I want to go no time soon, but I'm just saying, it don't excite me to get up in the morning to go, what the fuck now? Like, that just...
Right, and I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be going to war and shit.
But the thing is, you're only comfortable till you're not, and everything changes. Nothing is fucking permanent. Russia took a whole country in Crimea, just took it, annexed it. We're taking this shit. And that shit happened. A whole government came in, and we're a young nation. Coups happen, governments are toppled. Our ideology is on
every empire is falling
because it's perfect to us, but Rome fell.
No, exactly. I was just going to say that.
It's only a matter. It might not be your lifetime, your baby's lifetime, your baby's lifetime. But eventually,
I just think that it's what we're seeing is that in whatever form that it's in now. I think what we're seeing is that, and as it progresses, that was some shit. You know what I'm saying? But that, like I said, you see that.
But what you're saying is true because the hypothetical white man's whole world is on the brink to them. And that's what you see in all this aggression. They're
being told on their channels, hey man, they're coming to take all your shit.
Yep.
They're outnumbering you. Yep. They're coming to take all your jobs. And then you're not going to be amazed.
They're going to be
that is literally what they're telling them. They have like, for instance, Fox. They got Newsmax. They got all these more extreme channels. But a motherfucker like Tucker Carlson,
right?
It's literally
every day.
And he's not a news person. He's just an opinion person on a news channel, but it's still presented that. But he's presented to a generation that looks at news as information, as fact.
Right.
Yep.
Right? And so he's on there just spewing shit. He just be getting wild shit off. He don't even believe half the shit he's saying, but he know who's talking to him. He know that this is true. He's just getting shit off, and he's talking out the side of his neck, and these people are listening to it. And they believe it, and then it gets into their thinking, and like you said, now they thinking that the country has been taken from them, and they mad, and that's why they fucking all get up and they get hype each other up, and they put on fucking horns.
A country that never belonged to them to begin with, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
And Brian, what you were saying about the Roman Empire is crazy. So throughout my travels to different countries, I remember being in Turkey. You got this Christian/Muslim country, and I'm at the mosque, and they're talking about, oh yeah, these doors right here, the Roman Empire. This every country I've been to, with the exception of my history tour in Hungary. Like, that's the only place I've never heard about the influence of like the Roman Empire. And so you put it together, you're like, damn, the Roman Empire ran the world, right? So in the big picture with all these countries, the United States is the power hitter. And I'm just thinking like, whoa, if the Roman Empire stuff, like something we might be.
And right now, like, we're still the strongest military power.
That's right. And that's all it is.
Right now,
the Empire ran into temples and burned history, so it made them look like the winners. That's what the whole critical race theory thing is. It's the same thing. Yeah, everybody say 300. Xerxes, big threat. I'm going to erase you from history. I'm going to erase you. I know you did. I'm going to erase you from history. That's what they're doing now.
Exactly.
Like you said, these are old ideas being recycled, revamped, retooled, and then put out.
Repackaged.
Because people are more receptive.
Or ideas from those philosophies and those ideologies that are being.
The bad part, the smart people, the so-called smart people were too arrogant that like none of this shit ever gonna work. Now they're chasing it. Instead of being in front of it, they would now this kook, and now they chasing the tail of this shit.
Yeah, now they say,
and they're not gonna catch it. Yeah. We seen the Capitol. Y'all gotta understand that's so. Listen,
that's huge.
My thing is this: if they let them do that, you think if a motherfucker, enough of them motherfuckers just got in their trucks and drove through Compton, they gonna stop them? They not. You know what I'm saying? That was the Capitol. What the fuck they care about us here for?
Yeah, but
it's like, I mean, it get messy at first, but I'm just saying, idea wise, if they let them do that to the shit they love, and they love that shit, imagine what's in store for us. And I'm also saying this is the remote.
I mean, it's a lot though, and with that. They heard the threat, but they didn't understand the threat.
They didn't
understand the threat. They were overwhelmed.
Yeah,
they were overwhelmed.
They didn't.
And then they had a dumbass commander-in-chief who made it difficult in order to
get quell
it quickly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't able to quell it quickly. They had to go through the resources and so
that. Into that shit, it's hard not to listen, my nigga.
Yeah.
Like he's their president too.
All he does is fucking gaslight shit and instigate. That's it. Every moment, any moment he takes to choose to take the high road, he does not take the high road.
Ever.
Bro, that's it. You know what I'm saying? If somebody told me that dude was the devil, I probably might believe that.
Yes, man, I would, definitely.
I mean, just to be like I said, every single opportunity to take the high road, it's like his ego will not let him no way, no how.
Not gonna do it. He'll choke on that shit and die first.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why it was so fucking funny. And I tell people, he get mad at me, but I'm telling you, I never laughed so hard. That nigga was funny to me. It was dangerous, but he was just funny.
What, when he got COVID?
This is ignorance. Just the way
just in general.
Like, you see this nigga come out like you seen everybody else come out. As soon as he opened his mouth, he's like, yeah, this is different.
Right.
This nigga at Puerto Rico and throwing napkins at niggas that's wet.
Right.
Like, oh, this is
wow.
Yeah. You know what?
Like, fuck y'all. Here,
I'm
right off with
age
this.
myself, but we've had a few people where, when I couldn't vote, that would get into some position where I'm just like, how the fuck y'all do that? But I wasn't mad. You know, you like life go on. But when they put this motherfucker in office, I ain't never been so mad. I was like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Were y'all just bored with life to say, hey, let's put him in office and see what the fuck can happen? Like, and so as shit was happening, you know, I'm like, what you expect?
That was a combination of ignorance, people not being like people getting riled up, and then celebrity culture, all like
and that pisses me off though, because just because I like you on TV don't mean your ass should be president of the United States.
People were excited, like he riled up white people like Obama riled up like the time before.
But in the wrong way. Yes, and that played a big factor in that.
That saw that black man sitting in that office, them niggas took an oath like that. I can promise you niggas now you'll never see another one. I'll probably let fucking Biden die. I'm doing that shit right now. Because you ain't gonna never see another one. All this unrest, I always said that was the Obama film. It was like never again.
But then it was also the thing that he was running against a woman. They didn't want to have a woman.
Because I look at some of this younger generation is more progressive. Of course, you got the ones that are out, but some of the older ones that just have not let it go are dying out.
We believe that today. We always had these resets, and that's what kills me. Because I believe that with my whole heart too. But then we had these resets, right? And it's just a crazy game. But young people, do what you do. Fight the good fight. We all had to.
Man.
Or have to.
Very true.
Yeah. It's only one fight. I ain't
gonna let her hit her. I thought about it, but I wasn't gonna do it.
You know what?
Okay.
That's why I leaned over. Come on now, Peace Treaty.
That's so nice.
Water. Alright, that shit was good. Alright, let's see.
I love when we have these type of combos.
Check it out. Let's get on something. Rolling Loud raised the age requirement.
Thank you.
For their festival. Remember we were saying people shouldn't be that young getting in this.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, and again, this is no disrespect to any of the listeners who like to do that kind of shit with their kids. I just never felt like those were the type of, the things I could see. We was like, okay.
Them adult artists be being real adult at them festivals.
Right. If it was like a more age appropriate thing, like when people used to go to the immature concerts, you took their kid because that was for them. But I just can't see. I just can't see myself taking a child under 18. That's just me.
The millennial tour is not for children, right?
Anymore, but it used to be.
Oh, okay. I was about to say because it was
when Lil Bow Wow was really big.
But I had to my kids to that first one, and they were
I was thinking, I'm talking about the one that just going on like,
we're talking about when it used to be like for you to go to age appropriate shit is what I'm saying. I would have never took them to no shit like that to begin with.
I would just say, personally, I think it's a good idea for the safety, but that's why, like, all kids ain't created the same. Some kids can handle it. You know what I mean? Some kids are exposed. Or fucking
that's true.
No, but it's still adults recklessness.
But I'm just saying, like, some kids, are raised in a way where that shit ain't what it is to another kid that's going to giggle and blush when they see Rihanna titty pop out. You know what I mean? It's a different thing.
There's a lot of adult activities going on.
I understand that. I understand it, but like I said, we ain't all created equal. You know what I mean? But for safety concerns, kids aren't as fucking receptive. They're not as fast. They're not as fucking... The reflexes ain't well. So for safety, they shouldn't be in no shit like that. And I'm not gonna argue that they should be at no fucking orgy type festivals anyway.
At all.
Like I say, because they're fucking children. Because they're not all the same. Some adults should be there. You know what I mean?
Amen to that too.
But for safety, you gotta. After Astro Awards, you knew something big. There was gonna be changes coming there.
Some kind of change.
It has to.
I'm surprised that this is the only change I've heard announced.
So far, I believe it's more. I believe there's more to come.
It has to be.
At least on the surface, and the sad part is they'll buffer it for a while, then it'll go back to the next if something happens. But that shit was so wild that I'm glad they try to be proactive. Seeing how we missed a year in live entertainment and all that, they're not trying to lose the bag.
Right.
And the thing is, even sometimes, it's money motivated, it still get good results because they're not trying to lose this money. With everything, they did everything to keep everything open. Like, fuck it, you can't get in it without this or this, but they're not trying to lose this money. It was a big hit. They said some of the lawsuits can fall off too.
Oh, of course.
You think so?
That's what they're saying. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think they can stick the artist.
That's how I feel too. Like, how is the artist?
Yes, Drake, no. Because that wasn't Drake.
That's what I say. Drake was an artist I was performing. Travis, this was his festival.
Yep.
Like, at some point, the liability comes to him. Like, because regardless, he's hiring every level, you know what I'm saying, or his company is hiring every level of what's going on. They're hiring
personal culpability, I guess, should
they're hiring the booking company. They're hiring the, you know what I'm saying. So this is all business,
right?
You know, we're talking about the culpability. This is not personal, but everything falls at some point. It's going to get to him. You know,
but I can't quote it, but I read some shit that a lot of this shit is gonna come out in the wash. But I mean,
regardless, it's going to be a settlement. He's not giving up $2 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
But does this change things for artists now? Are they going to be more like?
Well, what they've been saying is at the Day and Night Fest, every artist is stopping like every 15 minutes. Everybody all right?
Right.
Yeah, we saw Tiana Taylor. She was like, "Nah, bring her where there's the chair."
They mad because Lil Uzi said, "Fuck that, nigga. We turning up, nigga. I'm not doing that shit. We about to do my show how we do my show." And everybody, you know, all that
now they employing spotters, more spotters in the crowd, and more water misters. They have to. You know, they got.
But like we said, part of that was the venue was over capacity anyway,
and niggas overrented. Like I still don't know how niggas do the drug security guards and shit though, with needles and syringes. That shit's wild. That's wild.
It was.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Oh man. All right. Y'all been seeing 50 New campaign?
Yeah.
Y'all been seeing it?
With Lil Meech and...
You been seeing it? He's back in his bag.
Yeah.
He's back in his bag. You ever seen this little campaign? What he's been doing?
I haven't seen it.
What he's been doing is playing the stars of his shows
against each other.
Mm-hmm. You know, he's pumping. This BMF season finale was last week. The
premiere.
Power Book 2, did it premiere last week?
Yeah.
Or did it come in this week?
Nah,
it was last week.
It was last week. So the shows, he overlaps the shows. When one is ending, one is starting. Mm-hmm. And so what he's been doing is placing the stars against each other.
Right.
Lil Meech and, little guy from Power.
Ghost Jr.
Little Ghost. Yeah.
I just don't know. I just don't watch enough TV, but I know he's a fucking genius. I know
this has been like more social media.
I know this is I look at his charts, and most of his shows is charting high.
No, he's doing well, but I don't think this shit is doing nothing for the he's doing this. This is right here. I don't think no one believes this or anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's shooting in the wind on this right here. The shows are gonna do what they do. They're both popular.
It's true.
Right.
But
what?
I just hope it stays like a gimmick, because sometimes somebody say the wrong thing, and then that play beat turn into real beef.